Fight Club is timeless, a movie that was made in 1999 but still feels as relevant and as hard-hitting as if it were made today. But have you ever wondered what makes Fight Club so special? What makes it stand out from the shit ton of garbage that we are fed in the name of content every single day? The answer lies in how beautifully Fight Club dissects the complex layers of modern masculinity. It is the single most important film that's ever made on the dystopian state that the men of our modern pretentious society live in. It is an excellent case study on the mental and emotional construct of contemporary males. In an era where every man has the same identical routine in his life, wears identical clothes, sits in identical cubicles, eats the same identical shit, and desires the same women, Fight Club stands with a big, stark mirror to their face. It is not a story, it is a wake-up call to the men that if they keep going on in the same direction, then eventually they will explode. And with their explosion, they will bring down the very foundation upon which our present-day society stands. If you are to closely analyze the mind-boggling plot of Fight Club, you will find that it is actually a journey of a man going through different psychological phases of self-actualization and mental and emotional breakdown. Let's start with the first phase that Fight Club uncovers: self-realization. The narrator, the main protagonist of Fight Club, epitomizes the faceless drones that populate our contemporary society. He lives a redundant, boring and monotonous life. But the narrator is not just any other character in any other movie. You know why? Because the narrator is you. It is through the eyes of the narrator that you are seeing your own monotonous life, where you wake up at the exact same time, go to the exact same office, sit at the exact same chair, listen to the exact same bosses, and come home at the exact same time just to repeat the exact same routine the very next day. And just like the narrator, you yourself don't know how long you can keep on living like this. If it is still difficult for you to believe that the narrator is actually you, the movie throws in another Easter egg. In an age where everything is a routine and there is no deeper meaning to anything that you do, how do you try and find meaning in your life? You try to find meaning through the materialistic things that you possess. It could be the last night gourmet meal that you ate in a fancy restaurant where you were sitting with 50 other men like you. Or it could be your new shining car that is already standing in garages of thousands of other men. Or it could be a new furniture that you are planning to buy for your home, probably from IKEA, which already sells millions of such units every single day to every man who is just like you. Now you believe me, don't you? This was the first phase of Fight Club, where the movie makes you realize that the story is actually about you and your own life. Then begins the second phase of psychological breakdown: self-discontent. You, the narrator, are lonely and unsatisfied. There is no thrill, no passion, no deeper sense of being or connection towards anything in your life. The narrator is desperate to find deeper connections, but the way the society is structured, it is not letting him to do that. Isn't the same thing happening with the men of our society? Everything that you want is at your fingertips. You don't even have to put your foot on the floor and make any real effort to make that thing yours. And because you do not invest your time and patience and effort into doing anything, that's why you don't feel any connection with the value that is derived from doing that thing. Contrast this with the men of our history who used to hunt just to survive, who went to wars in order to maintain peace back at home. Because they invested their effort, their sweat and their blood into those causes, that's why they felt contempt with the value that they derived from these activities. And as soon as you realize this, you begin to hate and despise yourself. Your extremely fragile and delicate masculinity gets shattered for once and for all. You no longer want to be you. You want to be someone else. Someone who does what he wants, whenever he wants and however he wants. Someone who is charismatic and charming and who is desired by every woman he meets. Someone like Tyler. Now it was Tyler for the narrator, but for you it could be anyone else. With the advent of Instagram and Facebook and YouTube also came in a tsunami of pseudo-macho, self-proclaimed messiahs of traditional masculinity. They represent your Tyler. And once the self-discontent phase is over, the third stage of psychological breakdown begins: blind obedience. Narrator believes that Tyler, his anti-hero, is the only solution to all his problems. And it is because of this very reason that he begins to follow Tyler everywhere. Sort of like becoming his sidekick, sort of like you watching every Instagram post, every YouTube video, every so-called lecture of your favorite messiah of masculinity. And soon enough, just like the narrator, you also begin to see false but positive changes in you. You are no longer a pushover. You are no longer a doormat for someone else to wipe their dirty shoes. You are assertive, confident, carefree, and happy. Once the narrator starts to view these changes in himself, he begins to rely more and more on Tyler. He fights in his office, leaves his job, sacrifices all comforts of his old self, and begins to live with Tyler in a torn down house. He is contemptuous, something that he has not been for a long time. He credits all this to his Tyler, his messiah of machismo, but the reality is a bit different. You see, our feeling of contempt is a ratio, with the experienced pleasure, the value that we derive from doing something in the numerator, and what our expectations were from doing those things as the denominator. If you keep the numerator constant and decrease the denominator, your expectations from everything, the ratio will eventually increase. Narrator was doing the exact same thing. He cut himself off from television, his phone, his job, his comfort, everything that he desired. Because he drastically reduced his expectations, his denominator, that's why he started feeling happy and contempt. But for the narrator as well as for you, it's all courtesy of your messiah. And therefore, you begin to blindly follow their lead. Once you and the narrator reach this stage, that's when the final stage of psychological breakdown kicks in. Existential crisis. There is an old saying, don't pin all your hopes on one person or one thing. But neither the narrator nor you want to believe this. For you, this time it's different, but it never is. When the narrator got to know that it was Tyler who torched his apartment, that's when it clicked for him. He had chosen the wrong person to pin all his hopes upon. Most of us who have watched Fight Club think that after the narrator and Tyler's accident, when the narrator finds out that Tyler was actually his split personality and does not exist in real life, that's when the narrator experiences a nervous breakdown. But I have a different take on this. You see, the narrator always felt a bit uncomfortable whenever Tyler asked him to do something new, something different, something shady and borderline illegal, but he never had the heart to say no because Tyler was his only source of happiness and he did not want to lose that. But towards the end, when Tyler was gone and the narrator was no longer in Tyler's physical influence, that's when the narrator realized that what he was following was actually self-destruction. He was not going to regain his manliness by doing that. Instead, he was marching towards attaining toxic masculinity. And it was at this very moment that he experienced his existential crisis. It was at this moment that he realized that there is no escape from this poisonous world. And this is the last warning, the final wake-up call that Fight Club has prophesied for the men of our society. Most of the men are either in the second or the third stage of their psychological breakdown, and they believe that this time it will be different. This time they have pinned all their hopes on the right person and the right things. But the reality, the future, the evident has already played out on the silver screen.